Welcome to UBC's Next Big Thing. I'm Rosemary Jean Thompson. My guest today is Cull, Associate Vice President Students here at UBC. Welcome.
Hi, Rosemary.
Thank you so much for coming today. Tell me a little bit about your role as the Associate Vice President Students. What does that entail?
So I am the Senior Student Affairs Officer for the Okanagan campus, which means I'm responsible for services to students, housing, food, enrollment services, activities and services that promote student engagement.
So once a student's kind of decided maybe there's a few different universities they're interested in, traditionally how do they go about applying?
Most universities, and including UBC until not too long ago, made most of their admission decisions based on a student's high school marks on their GPA. Our average admitting GPA probably is in the mid-80s. Some programs admit a little higher, and some programs admit a little lower, depending on student demands.
So what are some of the limitations by just looking at that particular criteria for admissions?
Well, if you just look at GPA, what you're doing is you're looking at a small portion of the total student. It simply reflects their marks in their last 2 years of high school and really doesn't take into account all the other things that they might have been doing that either bring value to them or that may have impacted on a person's GPA. You could, for instance, have someone who's spent several years with a national sport organization, having large travel commitments, practice commitments, competition commitments, and would really impact on the amount of time that they could put into school. They'd still be a strong student, but it will have had other major significant commitments. You might have other students who really haven't done anything but prepared for university. Taken extra classes, been able to engage in tutoring, and so the playing field for students, if you look at just one measure, is kind of uneven.
So what has UBC and UBC Okanagan campus done to try to even out that playing field?
Beginning last year on the Vancouver campus and this past September on the Okanagan campus, we've initiated what we call a holistic admissions process. There are two parts to that. One is the academic GPA. How well did they do in those courses that are prerequisite to admission at the university? But the other thing we've asked them to do is essentially tell us about themselves. What do you do outside of the classroom? What sort of commitments and obligations do you have? What do you do for fun? What contributions have you made in terms of community engagement or leadership or extracurricular activities? And students have done amazing and wonderful things. It fills out the person.
So you're looking at things like leadership qualities in the student, things that you can only really see by how they've lived out their life in the last few years, what things have become important to them, what things they value.
Exactly. So UBC is very public about its aspirations for itself and for its students. Global citizenship, leadership, student engagement, enhanced educational experiences. And what we want to do is we want to identify and attract and enroll students that share those same values. So we have a good fit.
Right.
We want them to enjoy their experience with us, and we want to enjoy our experience with them.
Who looks at these applications, and how do you come up with a clear definition or a defining factor in who you select?
Sure. So there is a team of folks on both campuses. Each personal profile is read twice, blind readings, which means that I don't have any identifying information. All I have is the answers to their responses in the personal profile. An aggregate score is created for each student. Part of the score is their GPA, and part of the score is the score on their personal profile. These scores are combined to give a total score, and admission is based on that total score.
What have you found this first year has been the results of this?
Anecdotally, what we're hearing is that the students are slightly different. The initial signs are very positive. We won't know until we actually look at our data and have a couple of years of data to know whether we're actually getting the result we want, but I suspect we are.
I think that gives all students the opportunity to come here, not just based on their GPA, but really of who they are, and I think that's a great addition to the university here.
Yeah, certainly it sets us apart.
Thank you for coming today, Ian, and maybe you can fill us in a few years and let us know how it actually has turned out.
It's been a pleasure, Rosemary.
And that wraps up this edition of UBC's Next Big Thing. Until next time, I'm Rosemary Jean Thompson.